Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome to Streaming Consciousness. Believe this is episode 14. Been a little bit. Good to be with y'all. Good to see you, Greg. How you doing today, my brother?
Mark, I'm doing great, man. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. Really excited to be doing the show. And today we have something more traditional along the lines of card collecting that you all might be interested in talking about. We put up a little bit of a poll on our Facebook page about players that people felt were either undervalued or overvalued, and we had some great responses on that. And we're going to bounce back and forth a little bit between me and Greg. And the one of the first ones that was mentioned was by Breck Allman. He felt that Barry Larkin was tremendously undervalued, and I have to agree with him. And here we go. There's a Barry Larkin, 1987 tops, rookie card. It's a PSA 8. Nothing to get too excited about, but you can get that for like $7 or $8. So yeah, Larkin, and a lot of when we look at value, you hear me say a lot. It's what it's worth to you. I mean, I may overpay, I may underpay. It doesn't matter to me when things are for my PC. It's what's the card worth to you. We're not people that are, experts on the financials of it all. And really, in my case, I really don't care. It doesn't matter to me what the value is. It's what it's worth to me. But Larkin, you look at his rookies, all of them are fairly cheap, and then you also have to look at the career. Now, granted, it was junk wax era, but I don't think there's too many Barry Larkin cards that are a regular issue that will cost you more than $1. So to me, that's pretty amazing for a Hall of Famer. So how about you, Greg? What do you think about that?
Well, I think with Larkin, I mean, you hit it right on the nose. That he's in a set where there's a lot of good rookies. You got Bonds, you got Bo, you got you know, well Bonds and Bo really. The junk wax. I mean, there's so much of that, but even his Donruss and his Fleer really don't hit on a financial side. He kind of flew under the radar when he was playing. Really, I mean,
Yeah.
he reminds me a little bit of Biggio where he kind of uh don't want to say compiled stats, but he was around long enough and got to 3,000 hits and did all that. And but I mean, I never thought Barry Larkin at any point during his career was one of the better players in the league. So I mean, I get they should be worth 50 cents, which is where they usually go, and they struggle to go there in the sales. But um, 50 cents a buck is kind of crazy, really, if you think about it
All
for a Hall of
right.
Fame rookie card. So that's my take on Larkin. He was a great player. I'm not surprised he's in the undervalued category, though, honestly. So,
But
yeah.
that whole junk wax era, Frank Thomas, Larry Walker, even Griffey to a certain extent, Smoltz, Glavine, Biggio, Johnson. I mean, they're all extremely undervalued. I don't think they're undervalued based on the print runs, but they are definitely pretty cheap. As
Well, and you
far
look at
as go ahead.
you look at Griffey. That's a great example. That really the only card that he has that's really worth his mainstream card that's worth anything is the Upper Deck, and it's such an iconic card. But his Donruss, his Fleer, his score, his tops traded even really. I mean, you can get for under $10 regularly, which for somebody that was as popular and famous as he was, is it really just speaks to the print run. And I think a lot of people in the '80s suffered from that. So
Yeah, I just sold the '89 Topps Traded that was on the show a while. Just sold that for $6. So
yeah.
that's a great example. And then I want to talk about overrated real quick. And this one I agree with. I don't have any of his cards because I'm just not a fan. But it's Brooks Robinson. Ian Haas brought up Brooks Robinson being overvalued, that you can't touch a rookie card in any condition for less than $300. And then if you look, for me, when I was looking at overvalued, undervalued, you also got to kind of look at the arc of the career, the trajectory of the cards throughout their career. And most Brooks Robinson cards and the sales, being that, I'm a seller as well as a buyer. Greg is a seller and I'm a buyer. The Brooks Robinson cards, traditionally, you're getting 2x, 3x over their contemporaries of that year, whether it be a card from the 60s, the 70s, even like a 77. That card still is more, and I would have to agree with Ian I think there are third basemen that have been far better than Brooks Robinson as far as both defensively and offensively. And I know it's sacrilege to sit here and say, "Oh my God, Brooks Robinson's not the greatest defensive." Well, I don't think he was, and I don't really think that his card should command the 2 or 3x of what you're going to pay versus some of his contemporaries through that time.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, you look at his 77 card, for example, that's his last regular card. And you're right. I mean, that, $3-4 usually, and you get a Steve Carlton or a somebody who was universally thought of as more dominant. Jim Palmer. I want to beat the table for Jim Palmer every time I talk about this. Um,
Uh,
it's worth, like you said, 2 or 3 times. I think the vintage aspect of Brooks, his 57 and his weird 58 card, those are kind of more in line. But his later cards, I mean, his 75 and his 73 even. Um, Greg Nettles, in my opinion, was just as good, equally good, if not
mhm.
better defensively.
All
And
right,
you know, and you Schmidt, Matthews. I mean,
all
the
right.
list is long of better offensive third basemen. So I agree with you there on
Yeah,
Brooks. Um,
Nettles was amazing.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, he sure was. He didn't get
Defensive.
quite the recognition that he deserved, I think,
And
but he was right there with
it's so
Brooks.
wild with him. I wasn't a
Yeah,
Yankee guy, but I mean, he was with the Indians and some other teams, the Padres later in his career. But I remember I think in the mid '80s, maybe he's with the Padres at this point in time, and his glove. So things changed. He had a cut in the center of his glove. Here's a guy in the major leagues, the best third baseman. He's playing with this beat up glove that. So it was just amazing. I remember I saw that. It was like in This Week in Baseball or something,
yeah.
and they were showing Nettles' glove, and it was just destroyed. It's like here's a guy that could probably afford 100 gloves. Hey, there we go. Scarlett's to the show. Waiting on her. And with his gloves beat to hell. And it was greatness. But then when you look at like undervalued, overvalued, again, it's hard for me because I don't really think about those terms. But I was really glad that we had the input on our page because it really got me thinking about things and being a teacher, I could think about this during the day, these like abstract thoughts. And Brooks Robinson mentioned Eddie Matthews, he's one of my favorite players. But again, look at the overall trajectory and the arc of the cards and the prices. So, a 10th year George Brett is far less than the 10th year Brooks Robinson. Mike Schmidt, a 7th or 8th year, is far less, and they don't command a higher premium temporaries in their sets, if that makes sense. So like in a 1987 Topps, I mean, George Brett's like 50 cents. Everybody's 50 cents. So that was Brooks Robinson. Brooks Robinson would be $1.50.
Mhm.
So, it's a weird phenomenon that you can get Mike Schmidt cards again. I just had a sale and I sold a bunch of Mike Schmidt cards for like 25 cents. So that's,
Yeah,
those are Brooks. And in that sale, I had a Brooks Robinson, bam, got $1. You
yeah.
know,
Well, and I think
so it's a,
yeah, that's really good points. I think I call it a bridge almost, like the bridge between the vintage and the where you're starting to inch into where it's considered not vintage, and I think that has a lot to do with it. But you're right. I mean, just if you compare it to the contemporaries in their set, even that's a good way to do it because you're going to have different eras that are going to be worth more, just regardless, no matter what. But when you compare it, I think that's a great comparison. Brooks Robinson's a really good example of somebody that I would agree is probably overvalued, but there's a romanticism to him, with his
yeah,
defense, and you know what I mean. It's almost weird. And that Peyton Manning card with a 58, that's one of the worst cards of all time, but it commands a premium, like you said. So you know,
yeah.
so do
Do
you
you
have
have
any
any?
other? Yeah,
I
yeah,
do. If you do,
I've
you
got
have any? Yeah,
some.
go ahead, and then I'll end up with one. Go ahead and run some.
Well, and I mean, I've got the usual suspects. We've talked about it before: Jim Palmer, Joe Morgan. I think those mid '60s. I think a lot of the mid '60s rookie cards are undervalued comparatively to how their career arcs were. Carlton's one of them. He kind of is more in line, but Palmer, Joe Morgan, Frank Robinson, obviously back in the '50s. So those are the usual guys. But I pulled out three that I thought really were kind of on that line. And first one, Lou Brock. I mean, if you look at Lou Brock's 1962 rookie card, I don't have it, but um, you know, Lou Brock I think was a star, and he was he was the stolen base king before Ricky, obviously, and just his rookie card you can get for 40, $50, on a 1962, and that's a tough set. So, I've seen decent condition for 40, $50. Didn't hit a lot of home runs, but he was a star. Maybe it's because he was with the Cubs and it's not a Cardinals card. I mean, who knows? But Lou Brock's one of them for me. Um, Al Kaline, really, in my opinion. If you look at his cards, um, I think that he was a major star in the game in 1954 rookie. It's pricey, but it's not on par with Banks and with Aaron. And I mean, Aaron's a transcendent, obviously, but Ernie Banks. Just I think his cards are a little bit undervalued sometimes. Al Kaline. So, and then as far as overvalued, I tend to agree with you a little bit on Brooks Robinson. I think that honestly, and this is not going to be a popular opinion, but I think Ricky Henderson's cards are a little overvalued sometimes. I know not a lot of people are going to agree with me, but for the print runs that existed in 1980, 81, 82, his cards command a huge premium over almost everybody, really, except Nolan Ryan and the rookies. So, my opinion, Rickies are a little overvalued, but I could be one out of 100 that thinks that, but that's just my opinion. So, I don't. Tell me what you think about those, Mark.
Oh well, I agree. I think they're Ricky Henderson. I think the thing with Ricky Henderson, here's another abstract thought. These things we think about when we're in school. I agree with you. The Ricky cards are overrated, and then we got to do our cards of the week too. Be surprised at what's in there. But I think it's more as we look back. I mean, that era, late '70s, early '80s. It was a different time, a different era. A lot of us in our age group, that's when we were collecting cards, and I think that the price for Ricky Henderson's rookie card is more almost of a nostalgia versus a production. I mean, Ricky was one of a kind, but for me, is he one of the all-time greats? Yes, but he played for like 28 teams, and he was a pain in the ass. So, Ricky, to me, shouldn't be in the lexicon of the all-time greats, that top tier. But in collecting cards with that rookie card, I mean, it's a must-have, and everybody wants that. So I think there's a little more nostalgia, and also as we look back in today's day and age, it's not different. Players are going to play for 8, 9, 10 teams. Back then, that was unheard of. So I think that's a case that Ricky LK Line went about his business, kept his mouth shut, was a consummate professional. That's why he's probably under the radar. And I just sold a 71 K line. It was like perfect. And it was like $15. Had that been a Nolan Ryan, it would have been $75. So that, same thing. The Bly 11, perfect. $8, the same type of thing. So where they don't get that with their contemporaries. So that's K-Line was definitely in Lou Brock. He always flew under the radar. He was one of the only people that hit a home run out of dead center in the Polo Grounds. I mean, he was thought of as a power hitter. He didn't hit a lot of home runs, but I believe he probably could have if he needed to. He did what was required of him. Again, consummate professional, went to work, did his work. Wasn't flashy, didn't make the headlines. He punched the clock, so to speak. He did what was required of him on those teams. So yeah, I agree 100% on the overrated, underrated there. And then I just have one last one, real quick for me. And I just love this card. I actually was going to sell it, and I didn't sell it. I got it in the sale a while back. But and we talk about, and it's Fergie Jenkins auto, beautiful signature, beautiful neat card. I love it. I'm not going to sell it. This be my permanent PC just because I collect autographs, and not necessarily players that are awesome, but people that have awesome signatures, and that's right there. But I mean, if you look at Fergie, he had a 7 or 8 year run. It was as good as anybody ever in the history of the game. He's probably the greatest baseball player from Canada ever. I mean, Larry Walker, but Fergie just
from Canada.
Yeah, Toronto.
Oh wow, okay.
So, yeah, Fergie's a Canadian. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. Go ahead.
No, you got it. I'm good.
Well, I totally agree with you on Fergie too, and he fits kind of in that mold of what I was talking about, mid '60s rookies, and I remember being a kid and Fergie Jenkins, everybody thought he was one of the best pitchers in the league every year for years, and just doesn't, maybe it was because he bounced around a little bit too, or
Mm.
you know, but I guess the Kaline and Robinson, I mean, they were with the same team for the years, so for their
Yeah.
whole careers. So I mean that can be a detriment and a thing, but Fergie's auto is great, and he was a great pitcher, and he just is one of those that
Oh,
you
yeah.
know
Well, you're
maybe there's
talking.
only
Go ahead.
maybe there's only enough love to go around for these guys.
Mm.
There's so much focus on the major rookies that some of these Hall of Fame rookies, Don Sutton. I mean, there's so many in the mid '60s that just kind of fly under the radar. That maybe it's just kind of how it's going to be. But good choice
Yeah.
with Fergie though. I think he's definitely on that list.
All right. So that kind
But
of does it for our overrated, underrated. Do we
yeah,
have week? Do you got any cards of the week, Craig? Usually we lead with that, but I wanted to get right into that overrated, underrated. So let's do our cards
sure.
of the week.
Yeah. I've got a few and some kind of off the wall stuff this week. I got this card. Let me take it out of the holder. It's probably glare, but I got this one, and this is so cool. It's the 1978 Kellogg's Eddie Murray. It's technically a
Mm,
rookie card. Very cool card. It's got a little bit of a crack on the top left, but I mean, it's Eddie Murray. He was good enough as a rookie to be in the Kellogg Superstars series, so
yeah.
he had a pretty good rookie year. So that's the first one. Got that um, from a friend of mine that I deal with offline. Sent me some stuff, and then this one here is another kind of a rookie card, and
Oh, that's excellent. Wow.
yeah, Fidrich. It's a
Love
77.
it.
It's got a crack in it, but I mean, I got it for $1, so you can't go wrong with
It's
a
neat.
Fidrich rookie for $1. And he really kind of maybe go on one of the lists of the nostalgia because his rookie card, that 77, is super overvalued in my opinion. But you get
Yes.
$6-7 for it every time, and he had like what a 2-year career. So I mean,
Pretty much 2 years, year
yeah,
and a half, really.
yeah, he was a meteor, but I mean, it fizzled out pretty quick.
Mm,
This one I got, and I'm going to come back to something I want to talk about in the sale that I got this card, but I got this Bob Greasy
obviously.
rookie. I had one that I sold, and because I knew this one was coming, and this one here for this guy's my hero. When I was 7 years old, I wore glasses and got picked on quite a bit, and then Bob Greasy put on glasses, and all of a sudden glasses were cool, and I quit
All
getting
right,
picked
right
on.
on.
So he was kind
Hello,
of a hero
glasses.
to
I
me.
can't see.
Right, right. Well, I was a 7-year-old who had glasses who couldn't see
Well,
anything. So it was kids were merciless, but
they are. They're
Greasy,
animals.
yeah, Greasy was cool, and all of a sudden he was wearing glasses, so he was even cooler to me. So this here is a card that never was. It's a 2021 Mickey Mantle. It's a gold parallel out of 50. It's a 51 Bowman. They never obviously made that, but I just thought it was cool. I bought it because they never had that actual card.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not much into modern cards,
No.
but I thought this one was pretty cool. It's numbered. Really, if I'm going to buy a modern card, I want it to be numbered so there's some kind of exclusivity there, I guess. And then this one here I got in a sale also, which is an SGC 5 Kari Strimsky. So
The
it goes in
beauty.
with my Yaz
Yeah,
SGC
it's awesome.
run. So
Great sale.
very well centered, really, if you can see it. So for a 5, I mean, hey, buy the card, not the grade, and it's worth the world to me. So those are
It
my
should
cards.
be.
Yeah, those are
All
my
right.
cards.
So
I know, right? Well, and
excellent.
we'll get back to
Great
that. You
cards.
go
Great
through
cards.
yours, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah. So pretty soon my cards. You're gonna have a bunch of greasy coming. Should be hitting your mailbox tomorrow.
Nice.
My cards of the last few weeks have been very few and far between because I was tied up in a big sale. And anyways, but here is
We'll get to
Wayne
that.
Chan. Wayne Chan, who is become a really really great. I buy something from Wayne Chan almost every week. He's become my vintage guy. Uh, and this is amazing. He's in Facebook jail now too because he made too many comments in his sale. So that seems to be a thing too now. Facebook jail. We got to watch how we comment when we're buying our baseball cards. So this is the 1957 Roy Campanella. I just
Yes.
that thing is just amazing, amazing, amazing. I got that from Wayne Chan. I just absolutely love it. You know, people that know me, that fits all the boxes. You got the background, the signage. That's just, man, I was so excited to get that. I love that card. That's a permanent PC. And then also from Wayne, you know, this is one I generally don't do OC. I cannot stand off center, but this is the 72 tops, Hank in action. And that thing is just, you know, that's just a nice card. It's off center pretty bad, but my God, that's a beauty card. So I was really happy to get that from Wayne. And then my last card of the week, this is all the cards I got. So for like the last 3 weeks. And then it's from my brother who's right across the screen from me, and that is the Henderson rookie card that we were just talking about. Overrated, underrated. And there it is. So that's an iconic card. And just as I talked about when we were doing overrated, underrated, that was taking me back to my childhood and going to the corner store with my dad and getting packs of baseball cards. At the corner store was 7 miles because we lived in the middle of nowhere. But you know, I had to have it. Stuff going on in my world. You know, I just back in Buffalo dealing with some stuff with my dad, and you know, to get that through all this, it just reminded me and my dad going, and he'd be getting me baseball cards, and that was always,
Yeah.
you know, one of the ones you had to have.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
yeah,
don't get me wrong, man. That's a great card. I just people
yeah.
freak out about it, and
Oh yeah.
I get it. The nostalgia thing, you're right. I mean, that's one of the first cards I can remember. Paying like $3 for at the card store when I was 11.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it. I get it
It's
completely.
ironic though, right?
Yeah.
You were talking about it. I'm like, there it
Yeah.
is. You
Well,
know,
and,
so
and
it's
I had a
great.
feeling it was coming. That just kind of hit
Yeah.
me this morning. I was thinking about what I was gonna say, who I was gonna pick, and I was just like, man, Ricky was great, but you're right, he played for like 40 teams and for 40 years,
Maybe
and
50.
so you know,
He
I don't
probably
know.
played under an assumed name. He's like one of the old barnstormers. He was the
Right.
Joe Jackson. He's probably still playing out there somewhere. You know, Fred
I was
Jones. You know,
Yeah, he's playing for the Nashua Frontier League team or whatever. I think that's the last place I
yeah,
remember him playing in like
yeah.
2010 was
In that South
from.
Atlantic League. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
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 something else.
nuts.
God
So
bless
there's
Ricky.
a couple things I wanted to talk about a little bit.
Uh,
We had a little bit of a controversy, I think, last week and the week before with a sale that we participated in, and it so many things happen in this sale, and it's just I don't really know where I want to go with this, and I won't keep it too long winded. But you guys, if y'all are doing a big sale, be organized, be prepared, be ready to handle problems if they come up. Because for a supposedly big seller that we were participating in this sale with, the way that it was handled was terrible. And I got on my soapbox a little bit. I wasn't even involved, but involved in the shorting and the bad customer service. But I got up a little bit on my soapbox, and a couple of other guys, Richard sent a nice message, and um, to the seller, you just can't take your customers for granted. And as a buyer, I mean, there's no lonelier feeling when you're doing this than to not know where your stuff is and if you're ever going to be made whole because it's out in wherever. So, not to be too preachy, but be organized if you're going to do a big sale. Respond to problems in a timely and accommodative manner. And it really, really made me angry because I sell a lot too, and I know you do. And I mean, we all buy and sell here, and it made me angry the response that you got, and you still haven't got your cards. So I'm not real sure who got them, where they're at, but um, they did make it right in my
sort of.
eyes. I sort of. So I don't know, but you got any comments on that, Mark? Because it happened to you. So I mean,
Yeah, you know, I did internalize this whole thing for almost the better part of 3 weeks, and then eventually it just kind of boiled over because not to get into too many details, we again, the people that are on our group, our streaming card consciousness Facebook group, y'all are the best because many people involved in the sale knew what was going on. And Greg and myself are big believers in help people. We don't give names, we don't give specifics, we don't happen. People don't wake up in the morning and say they're out to get Mark, they're out to get Greg, they're out to get Richard, they're out to get this one, they're out to get that one. Things
Well, you
happen.
hope
I
not.
realize things happen.
Yeah.
Some do. We know that, but we've been blessed that 95% of the people don't. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. The issue is that credit and excuses for one why there's late shipping, excuses for why you don't have your cards, excuses for why we can't do cash refund, excuses. And I've spent 25 years on the sideline coaching. You know what excuses are for? Excuses are for losers. So that's what I say about that. You show me a excuse maker, and I'll show you a team that's going to be in last place. So we take accountability for everything that happens. There are no excuses in life. Excuses are just unacceptable. There's either, to quote Yoda, there is no try, there is only do. All right.
Right.
There is only do, no try. I don't want to hear about I'm trying hard and this happened. There's only do. Follow Yoda. Be like Yoda. Be like the little green dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how I roll. Look, I effed up on a sale this morning. I had to map for me a really big sale. I screwed up a total. It was $2. You know what I did? I oh my God, holy cow, I screwed up $2, right? So I'm freaking out. And look, people, look what Greg said. This is for a quarter, 50 cents. Look I got my stuff together. Look at that. Everything. Right. So when somebody asks me about a card, and I can say, there it is. So when you're dealing
Yeah.
with hundreds of dollars of cards, thousands of dollars of cards, and when you ask a question and you get, I don't know, maybe you
Yeah.
should look back. Are you, holy cow, I'm getting crazy. But I just spent X amount of dollars. You should know what I spent X amount of dollars on.
Right.
Why do I have to go through a week-long sale to find out? So
What?
finally, I gave up and I offered a deal and it was good. Just give me this. I'm gone. I'm out of your hair. So,
Yeah.
and again, we have not named names for money or anything like that, but just like Greg says, be careful. And to everybody that stood up for me, God bless you, man. I love y'all. I mean, you were amazing. Even so much so that Mrs. Ford even got hurt that she was like, good Lord, those people in your group, holy cow.
Yeah. It was good to see. It was nice to see.
All
Just,
right.
and yeah, that was good to see, and I'm glad that it got to a resolution that you were okay with, and
Yeah, I'm fine. That's
yeah,
good. I had to scramble, do a little more work, but it's okay. I ended up
yeah,
back at even, and and despite it all, I didn't want to hurt them guys, and never. I will not name them. I will not give the details, and at the end of the day, they made $50 off me, so whatever. I didn't care.
yeah.
I was just happy to
There you go.
happy to be gone.
Yeah.
You
So
know
be careful, everybody, and like I said, if you're selling, just do your due diligence and keep track of stuff that you're selling and buying. So
exactly.
another thing that I was thinking about, and I don't know how many of y'all are on blowout forums, but it's a card forum. It's blowout cards, and they do a lot of investigative work into trimming of cards and vintage cards, especially. And I don't know if you get a chance, check out Evan Mathis. He posted a TikTok video. He's been accused of trimming, and he's a big collector.
No,
He
Evan.
posted it. Yeah, he's a former football player, former
Mm-hmm.
NFL player,
Mm-hmm.
Pro Bowler. Big deal. And he posted a TikTok a few days ago about just showing how he doctors cards. And he had been accused of it for years, and big cards like Mantles and big time cards. And I encourage you, if you get a chance, look up Evan Mathis TikTok video or go to Blowout Forums and read all about it. I mean, it's crazy, and it really makes you wonder. Unfortunately, um, his quote was, "If you have a vintage card in a slab, chances are it's been doctored." And that really kind of made me wake up and look, and I'm like, wow, So if you get a chance, check out Evan Mathis, TikTok or on Blowout Forums, and go into their trimming threads. You could lose a day in the wormhole there. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, that's probably, I didn't really go over that. I wanted to talk with you about that, Mark, but that's just
Yeah,
something
I
that
can
you need to.
expound a little bit here. Yeah, that's a good point. It's kind of like how our vibe and how we collect in the show. For me, I think it gets back to what we were talking about in our last show about once we start moving the commas and putting more zeros and the decimal points change and the dollars go up and That's when those things happen. Anything in life where there's a chance to profit, people are going to do it regardless of where they're at. And for me, the things in my PC, I'm really, I don't really have a lot of big dollar cards, and I'm pretty comfortable that they're not altered. But I mean, if they are, I think that's kind of something we have to accept
Right.
is the way it is. It's not right, but I mean, that's kind of, look at America today. It's a big, there's someone's problems, So I mean, is
Right.
that something? I think it's something that we have to accept, that the odds of getting a 52 mantle or a 51 Bowman mantle that hasn't been screwed around with, they're probably slim to none.
Right. Especially at anything with a higher grade. I
Hmm.
mean, you look at,
Hmm.
52 mantle, that's a 9. That
Hmm.
okay, come on,
Yeah,
most
exactly.
of the time. But I think you're right. I think it's kind of something that the hobby is going to have to or going to have to eventually just come to grips with, because
Right.
one, nobody's really pursuing any kind of consequence for anybody that's caught doing this. And two, it's so widespread that when you throw enough tainted into the mix, how are you going to tell the difference? And so, I mean,
Right.
it's, with comics and with art, I mean, there's art restoration. I'm not condoning what he's doing or what he's
Right.
admitting to have done, but there's so much of it going on that,
But
you know,
yeah, go ahead.
it's an accepted practice in some
Yeah.
circles for different, not maybe sports cars, but for like comics and for art
Hmm.
and artwork. Restorative process is
Yeah,
part of the deal.
paintings and things. Sure,
So
definitely. So
yeah,
how would you feel like, here, that's great that you brought that up, and just all over it today, Greg, man. You're killing the game. I have that 71 Aaron that, I showed that. It's authentic, beautiful. Yeah, somebody took the friggin' Sharpie to it.
yeah,
But it's
yeah,
amazing. So for me, as a Hank Aaron's one of my PC guys, I'm able to get a card. It's beautiful. I really don't care. It's authenticated. It's in its forever plastic coffin. It's, going to stay in there until the grave.
right,
And it's amazing. And it just pops. So it's an authentic. So, I mean, for me, I don't care. It's not an investment. I wasn't looking to get like a PSA 9. I mean, it says authentic. I paid like hardly nothing for it. And it's on my shelf because it's like I walk by and I'm like, yeah, look at you, Hank. And so
right,
I think that if collectors, if we set our sights at that it's okay. I just want a representative card of my favorite player, my guy, a guy that I loved. I mean, literally loved, Hank Aaron. And, so I don't care if somebody took the Sharpie to it. They did a damn good job.
right.
So,
Yeah, and that's a really good point, Mark. I think that, it depends on your mindset as a collector,
Mhm.
or collector versus investor or flipper or whatever. I mean, if you're just collecting the cards, like you said,
Mhm.
a Sharpie 71, as long as you know it going in and you don't pay a
Right.
non-Sharpie
And I
price.
did. Hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things where I'm the same way. If I'm I build sets, and if I'm building a set, I find a lesser copy to put in my set where I can have a nicer one to share with somebody else. I'm weird. I'll do it backwards. I'll
Yeah, me
like
too.
downgrade my set, and sell the nicer one, or send the nicer one to somebody or whatever. So it all really kind of comes back to what are you satisfied with? And I think for me, like you said, knowing it is different than paying a premium for something and then you find out later. So hopefully it doesn't get too bad, but there's a bunch of uproar in the hobby right now about Mathis's TikTok instructional video. So you guys should look it up. It's crazy.
Right on.
So, but you got any shout outs this week, Mark?
Shout outs, just like I said, to Streamer Card Consciousness Army. Our army of fans there and supporters. Y'all were awesome. Holy cow. Greg raised the battle flag up and everybody came running to our call.
That was very cool.
And it spurred me to action. So because I was gonna pretty much, well, things happen. I'm not gonna get personally. I wasn't in for a fight. I just,
That's why I did
because
it, right?
I know, because if I do start fighting people, I ain't gonna stop. I think you get the vibe. I can be a little bit gnarly. I just didn't have it. I didn't have the energy. I didn't have the mindset at that time to go about it properly, and my man here did, and it worked out. But my shout out will be, hey, whoever got my cards, God bless. Please, if anybody happens to see this, and I try not to get emotional, but again, it's about family. It's about a bond between a kid and his dad. If you happen to get that 51 Luke Easter Redback, please send it to me. All right, that's all I want. If you get the 1951 time, not the Luke Easter Redback, it's perfect. It's beautiful. If I can get that back, I'm good. I'm golden. No questions asked. Just that's me and my dad. So if you find that, because I heard all the stories about him growing up, that's why he's in my PC. Him bombing home runs out of Offerman Stadium in Buffalo, and it was the last card in that cell. That day I waited all day. All day, Greg, I was like so
Yeah.
excited to get that. I waited all damn day on that thing, and at the very last, there it was, the last card, and now I don't have it, and that's what bothers me. So that's
Uh,
my shout out. My shout out is if somebody will send me that and do the right thing. My other shout out is the people that have done the right thing. Thank you so much. So to you, Greg.
yeah, I've got a couple. Just Josh Wickersham. I'm blocked by a certain seller on in the group, and Josh messaged me and said, "Hey, he's got some 72 OPG cards," and so I was like, "Just grab these." I pointed a picture and blah blah blah. And he got like 9 of them, and for some reason he only got 3 of them in the mail. So, and I didn't know. So Josh sent them to me, the 3. I paid him for the 9, and he sent me a $20 bill in with the package. So I would have never even known, really. It's so that's honesty, and Josh is an honest guy, and I appreciated that, Josh. And then Richard Kavorka, I raised the battle flag on this whole debacle with that sale, and he basically took the battle flag and lobbed a
Yes,
grenade
yes, he
right into
did.
their. Yeah, so
Yep.
that was
Yes,
very
he did.
respectable. So good job,
Yeah, J-Man
and
Richard.
yeah. And then other than that, there's been some good sales. Wayne Chan had a really good sale the other night. Got that Fisk,
Oh,
the
it was
rookie
fun.
cup, and
We had a
and
good
you
time.
got some nice stuff coming too, man. So
Oh yeah, yeah. I could say
get
that story real quick. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. Let's
worked.
hear it.
Yeah. Well, we went in. I really want. Aaron's my guy. He had a 61 Aaron, and just beautiful. And I usually don't like to get into 3, 4 figures for my cards, but I stepped up on this one, and we worked a deal. And we worked like a 3-way deal. It was like a GM, at the draft, and I'm telling Greg and James Crawford, what's going on, and so we worked like a 3-way, a three card deal where I saved a couple bucks. He did okay on the thing, and but what was funny was no sooner had we ended it than he got banned.
Yeah, he sure did. So just in
So
the
I'm
nick of
like,
time.
nick of time that we pulled it for, and he gets banned for too many comments. I was like, oh my god, woof! So that was
Well,
fun.
I've
We
been
had a
real careful with
blast,
that.
but we
I've
had
been
so
yeah,
much fun.
that was fun. We were laughing like
Right.
crazy. And
Well, I haven't laughed that much in months. I was telling
Yeah,
Mrs. Ford, I'm like, oh my God, I was laughing. And that's the thing. See, people, I mean, we had so much fun. It was James, Greg, and myself. We ride into this cell, and we were kind of being silly with comments and stuff. But Wayne was really good about it, and we were having fun, and it was just a blast. It was about the most fun
yeah,
I've ever had in a cell. We were just, and that's the nature of it. Yeah, he's making some bucks. We're spending some money. We're getting cards, but whatever. We were just having a good time, and it was so much fun. I mean, it was really great. So I hope Wayne gets out of jail pretty soon.
yeah, yeah. I had my own experience with it
You
just
did?
earlier this month, and it was a week, and now I'm skittish, man. So
Yeah,
we'll
me
see what
too.
happens, but hopefully it doesn't become an epidemic.
All
So
right.
other than that, man,
Okay. Yes,
it's
sir.
been a great couple of weeks. It's been crazy.
It has
You
been
know,
the
I
weather.
don't
You
know if we're,
keep an eye on the weather, right? We had the tornadoes and crazy weather, and holy cow, it's been
yeah,
nuts down
yeah,
here.
yeah. It's sunny right now. We Yesterday was kind of rough, and the day before that. So that's probably
Mm.
what you guys got.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
off
So
and on. It's like every day, boom, tornado warning, hell the size of my head. I mean, it's
yep,
crazy.
Central Florida for you, man.
That's it, man. God bless. Gator
Everybody,
country.
it's been great, everybody, and hopefully y'all have a great weekend. And we'll have this up here shortly.
All right, everybody, love everybody. Thank you.
Peace, everybody.